Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Music News Power Hour. We're going to be starting in just a minute. Ping your friends in so they don't miss out today. Good to see everyone.
Right on, everybody. We will be bringing people up to the stage after we start the read, so you're invited to the stage if you would like to comment on one of the topics that we are discussing in today's show. We're looking forward today. We're going to be talking about some tech. We got, of course, there are a lot of acquisitions going on, podcasts, Sony, hypnosis once again. So it's there is going to be a lot to talk about. It's pretty densely packed, and we also have Angela. Any updates, quick updates from the UK?
It's pouring with rain. The streak has ended.
Right on. Unfortunately, we always used to say there was a commercial in the US, American Express, and the tagline was "Don't leave home without it." And I remember living in London. I applied that to an umbrella. When in London,
That's good advice.
have an umbrella. Umbrella. Don't leave home without it. All right, everybody, and we are just going into the countdown right now. It is Thursday, June 17th. This is the Music News Power Hour here on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. And I'm Peter Schwing, and joining me in welcoming Angela Randall, our UK correspondent.
Hello, hello, everyone.
Hey. Eli is off. She'll be back tomorrow. And let's talk about what's happening in the news. So, and today we're going to talk about Soundgarden gets their social media back. Triller going public. Sony Music buys a podcast platform. David Guetta sells his catalog. Indie artists can get their music on Facebook and Instagram with TuneCore and DistroKid. And as always, our Spotify update. Those stories coming up right after this. But first, let's take a look at this day in music history with Angela Randall. Angela, take it away.
Hello, everybody. This day, 17th of June in history, we start with in memory. On this day in 2016, Prince B, one half of PM Dawn, died of renal disease at the age of 46 at a New Jersey hospital in memory. And moving on right on to birthdays, today in 1946, American singer-songwriter Barry Manilow, born Barry Allen Pincus, was born. Happy birthday. On this day in 1947, British singer and songwriter Paul Young. A happy birthday to him. One of my favorites in 1958, Jello Biafra, singer of the Dead Kennedys, was born today. Happy birthday. Born in 1969 on this day, Kevin Thornton from American R&B group Color Me Bad. That's a blast from the past. Who remembers them? And in 1987, American hip hop artist Kendrick Lamar was born today. Happy birthday to all of you. This day in history, in 1987, Florida real estate agent Victoria Holman sued Motley Crue and their concert promoter for hearing loss allegedly incurred at a concert in December 1985. Holman and her daughter had front row seats less than 10 feet, 3 meters from the speakers. The case was settled out of court with the band's insurance company paying Holman over $30,000. On this day in 2011, a computer hacker who stole songs from Lady Gaga, Justin Timberlake, Leona Lewis, Kesha, and Mariah Carey during 2009 and 2010 was sentenced to 18 months detention in Germany. A court heard how the teenager, who called himself DJ Stolen, earned more than 15,000 euros by breaking copyright laws and hacking personal information from a number of singers. The 18-year-old used software to steal unpublished songs and then offer them for sale on the internet. Anti-piracy teams in the UK and Germany noticed a growing number of pre-release tracks being leaked much earlier than normal. The teen was also ordered to have therapy for an addiction to the internet. That's all from this day in history. Back to you, Peter. Peter, you're muted. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I was just queuing something up. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just don't mess with German authorities, or you will have to go to internet addiction training. And with that being said, thank you for that, Angela. And we are going to look at today's headlines. And this is where we scour the World Wide Web for essential news in the fast paced music industry. To set the stage for a roundtable discussion, we begin by reading key sections of media pieces. If you'd like to provide commentary on one of today's topics, raise your hand during the reading. To stay up to date and this and all other programming, follow the Music Industry City Group by tapping on the green house at the top. And you may register for content, exclusive content, for free at musicindustrycity.com. Also, remember to follow all your green button co hosts and commentators as they take the stage. And now let's get to it. And this first piece is from Variety.com. To access all the articles mentioned in today's show and throughout the week, visit musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic. Soundgarden members regain temporary control of the band's social media. The article starts off: many legal standoffs between Chris Cornell's widow Vicky and the surviving members of Soundgarden have been at least temporarily resolved. The band members now have access to the band's official social media accounts and website, which Vicky Cornell has barred them from the past few years. Quote, Soundgarden and Vicky Cornell, the personal representative of the estate of Christopher Cornell, are pleased to announce that effective June 15, 2021, they have come to a temporary agreement that will transfer the Soundgarden social media accounts and website to the band's remaining members and their managers, Red Light Management. In their first official post, band members, who in 2020 launched alternate social media accounts under the anagram Nude Dragons, made a serious but lighthearted wordly request for people to be respectful. Hey, Soundgarden friends, families, it reads in our part, our site is intended to celebrate the music, achievements, career, and legacy of the band, along with its news and information about any current future plans. We encourage fans to share their comments, praise, and criticism, but we do expect these to be appropriate, courteous, and respectful to each other and to the band. No more comments about wives, children's exes, significant others, siblings, parents, great aunts, second cousins, etc. for any of the current or former band members. It sets more standards for behavior and adds, furthermore, don't post discussions or inane conspiracy theories casting blame for harm to Chris Cornell. In the statement accompanying the announcement, Vicky Cornell said, through our joint social media efforts and our temporary agreement, my family, along with the surviving members of Soundgarden, hope to celebrate Chris and his music out of mutual respect and love. We all recognize this profound pain caused by Chris's tragic loss and the pain it has taken its. In the most recent of several legal flare-ups between the two parties, Vicky Cornell sued the band members again in February, claiming that she was offered a $300,000 buyout of Cornell's share of the band that she considers ludicrously low, and is calling for the group's holdings to be professionally valued. In the complaint, Vicky Cornell claims that the band members declined her offer for $21 million for their interest in the band partnership, and also declined a separate offer of $16 million for the rights to the group's recorded music rights. The band responded in a statement to Variety, quote, as requested by the estate of Chris Cornell and as required by the laws of the state of Washington, the surviving members of Soundgarden submitted to the Cornell estate 4 months ago a buyout offer of the state's interest in Soundgarden calculated by a respected music industry valuation expert, Gary Cohen. According to a document provided by the rep, Cohen has worked in an auditing capacity in situations involving the Beatles and EMI Music Publishing, the Rolling Stones and Sony and ABKCO, Taylor Swift and Big Machine Records, Miles Davis and Sony Music, and dozens others. Well, it's good to see that they are finally getting along in this deal, in a sense. So this has been ongoing, and hopefully we can see some of the members posting on their the proper socials now. We'll see how the rest of it rolls out. All right, and Triller. Triller has been in the news quite a bit in the last 6 months especially. Triller owner is reconfiguring plans to go public, eyeing a 2021 listing. All right. So rather than take the expected SPAC route to a public exchange, TrillerNet plans to take funding by a group of private investors before a direct listing on the New York Stock Exchange. TrillerNet, the owner of the video sharing app Triller and the Versus brand, has shifted its plan to go public and will now take a private investment before a direct listing on the New York Stock Exchange later this year, according to a source familiar with the deal. TrillerNet has commitments for $500 million from roughly a dozen of investors at a $5 billion valuation, according to the source. There's currently a target date set for early fourth quarter, but the exact timing of the listings depend on comments received by the SEC regarding Triller's S1 filing. The company has been in deep discussions with special purpose acquisition corporations, known as SPACs, over the last 8 to 12 months, and this confirms the source. But instead of merging with a SPAC, a blank check company that raises money through an IPO with the sole purpose of acquiring a private company, TrillerNet chose to take a direct investment from the group of large investors that have stakes in the several of the same SPACs. This route will give the private investors a 20% discount on the company's valuation, providing TrillerNet with more funding than a SPAC merger at equal valuation. TrillerNet. So the standard transaction in which the SPAC founders would receive additional shares would have ultimately diluted its equity value by 30%, according to the source, and the direct listing would end a long-expected play for TrillerNet to trade on a public market. So just keep your eyes out on that one if you follow along with all the different IPOs and reverse IPOs and SPACs. And if anybody has some comments on, would like to join in some commentary on the topics at hand, feel free to raise your hand. And we're going to continue talking a little bit more about acquisitions and investments. Hypnosis, go figure, is raising another $210 million via a new share issue on the London Stock Exchange. I won't get into all of this. I'm just going to cut through the highlights really quick. You can also find these articles if you want to dig in deeper at musicindustrycity.com. Click on the show notes and you'll get the links to all the headlines. Hypnosis Song Fund is raising more cash via the placing of a new tranche of shares on the London Stock Exchange. The company announced that it is targeting a raise of approximately $210 million via placing of 123 million ordinary shares at an issue price of £1.21 per share. The money will be used to, quote, to acquire a substantial pipeline of songs, some of the most influential, successful songs of all time. The placement opened today and is expected to close on July 6th, although Hypnosis reserves the right to close it earlier than later on this date. Interestingly, Hypnosis noted in the announcement that if stock market investors want in, they better not hang out. The firm said that subsequent to the new placing, it, quote, does not currently intend to offer further shares for cash consideration until after March 31st of 2022. And so this is, again, it's going to be more catalogs, and this is the race to catalog ownership domination. And, Merck is a brilliant businessman here, and we see this this trend that has been going on quite a bit, especially in the last year.
I'll tell you, if I had a lot of money somewhere, Peter, I 100% would be investing. I think it's an interesting prospect. Just my personal opinion.
Well, it's only £1.21 per share, so if I don't know if there's a minimum buy. So you could look into it.
I'll look into it.
Yeah,
yeah,
look
I will
into
do.
it. Yeah. Just don't buy it in Dogecoin.
Noted.
Dogecoin. Did I say Doge? Wow. All right. Sony Music. Let's talk about Sony and buys the UK's largest independent podcast maker, Something Else. All right. So this is another trend we've seen. I mean, we're going to talk about Spotify and the Green Room, and after the acquisition of Locker Room, and we're going to be talking about, the podcast, the Anchor, all that. But now Sony Music Entertainment is taking podcasts seriously. In September of last year, the company confirmed it would be launching nearly 40 new podcast shows across 2020, having previously struck deals with podcast producers. Sony Music was also reportedly in the running to acquire US-based podcast maker Wondery, which was eventually sold to Amazon in a $300 million plus deal late last year. This week, Sony Music made a major podcast acquisition of its own. The firm has fully acquired Something Else, a UK-based producer of audio, TV, and social media content, building on an existing SME partnership announced in the early 2020. Subsequent to Something Else's acquisition, Sony Music says it is creating a, quote, newly expanded global podcast division. And they talk about in the article, they talk about Steve Ackerman is going to be taken on, like, he's going to be the co-head of global podcasts, overseeing operations in New York, and how they'll report to Dennis Cooker, president of the global business and U.S. sales. Cooker's been cooking, over the last few years with these acquisitions, and really getting Sony, not necessarily so much ahead of the curve, but at the lead pack of technology and integrating the music, their music, their catalog, and their roster of artists into different platforms. So technology with companies like in VR, and now we're seeing podcasts. So this is going to be really interesting to see what rolls out here. And also, the outside of the podcast, something else is TV and social media business will now also become an extension of SME's UK fourth floor creative division. Let's go.
Yeah, I've mentioned my how impressed I am with Fourth Floor in the past, and it's definitely another one to watch because they do look like they're at the forefront of quite a few things.
Exactly. Yeah. And with we're going to finalize one more catalog acquisition. David Guetta sells catalog to Warner Music and partnership deal. He has entered into career agreement with Warner Music that sees the company acquiring his recorded music catalog from the last 2 weeks, as well as striking a new deal for future recordings. The terms of the deal were not disclosed, but initial sources say it was for dozens of millions. Guetta, who has sold 50 million record sales and racked up more than 14 billion streams, according to the announcement, has worked with some of the most popular artists in the world, including Rihanna, Bruno Mars, Justin Bieber, and many others. He has his award-winning career includes 2 Grammys, and as of today, he is the 8th most listened to artist in the world, according to monthly listeners on Spotify. And so in total, he has unveiled 8 new tracks for the first 5 months of 2021, and there's much more music to come, including a new single in July. And also with his team, he has set up some massive live streams. The United at Home performances from Dubai, Miami, New York, and Paris were viewed by more than 125 million people across the globe and raised more than $1.6 million for various charities. All right. I like to hear that. And with that, let's head over and check in with the our UK correspondent, Angela.
Hello from the rainy and stormy, completely soaked United Kingdom. I think we've all received a downpour. Some others in the room may have also been dumped on as of late last night. So our sunny streak has ended, but we do have a record of the day article here to check out, and at least their logo has sunshine in it. This one comes from us from Record of the Day. As I said, voters want government to do more to help British musicians tour abroad. New poll reveals. The public think Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the government are not doing enough to help musicians overcome post-Brexit barriers to touring abroad and need to do more. A major new poll reveals today. UK Music, the collective voice of the UK music industry, commissioned the survey following a barrage of complaints from musicians and crew about the extra costs and red tape involved with touring and working across Europe since Britain left the EU at the end of January 2020. A total of 58% of those quizzed agreed that with the statement that the government should be doing more to ensure musicians can work abroad post-Brexit, against only 7% who disagreed with the statement. Of the representative sample of 2,080 people questioned on June 9th to the 10th by pollsters Public First, 26% said they neither agreed nor disagreed the government should be doing more to help musicians, and 9% were don't knows. Younger voters were keenest to see more action from the government, with 62% of 18 to 24-year-olds agreeing the government is not doing enough to help musicians touring the EU. But the sentiment is shared by the majority of older voters, too. 54% of over 65s said government should be doing more to ensure musicians can work abroad post-Brexit. Agreement that the government should be doing more to ensure musicians can work abroad after Brexit was displayed across all age groups, in fact, with 62% of 18 to 24-year-olds and 54% of those over 65 years old also agreeing. When asked if the government should be doing more to support the UK music industry, 56% agreed against, only 8 who disagreed. It asked if the UK should be proud of its music industry and heritage. An overwhelming 83% agreed against just 1% who disagreed. The revelations will pile the pressure on government ministers to step up efforts with EU nations to simplify the process and reduce the costs and red tape facing touring musicians. In March, Boris Johnson pledged before the liaison committee of senior MPs that he was working, quote unquote, flat out to address the issue and was having, quote, plenty of conversations with EU governments. I believe that remains to be seen. A petition started by freelancer Tim Brennan as part of the Carry On Touring campaign attracted more than 286,000 signatures. It called for a Europe-wide visa-free work permit for touring professionals and artists and led to a debate in Parliament in February where MPs joined those highlighting the problem. It's a great article. In fact, there's some quotes from UK music chief executives, British opera singers, some other live touring group community officials. And if you do want to read more about it, I suggest checking it out in the show notes. But we'll keep you posted, of course, as this progresses, because it's definitely a hot button issue. I myself signed the petition that was part of that Carry On Touring campaign earlier this year when the news was announced that they wouldn't be supporting anything to assist artists touring the EU after Brexit, of course. And, there have been a lot of talks and a lot of meetings that have been held in the meantime, but they haven't changed their viewpoint on it, at least thus far. So watch this space and we'll certainly keep you up to date. Back to you, Peter.
Hey, can you talk to the powers that be over there to say, can you come up with other news besides Brexit, touring, and not reopening the live music sector for another 4 weeks? We need some other news. We need some good news from the UK. How do we make that happen?
Believe me, we are right with you on that. If Adam, if do you have anything to add? I know you may have some experience in this area, but 100%, we'd love to see that too.
Yeah, it's really gloomy, actually. And it's funny that I should drop in here and you should talk about that today, Angela, because I was with a friend who's in a pretty big band yesterday who had a really great, or has, I should say, a really great Spanish festival that they're doing that they had to all go and get visas for because some of the band are based in Northern Ireland. That involved those members flying over to Edinburgh or Glasgow to go to a Spanish embassy. It involved the crew going to get interviewed for Spanish visas. And then after all of the expense and all was said and done, two of the crew were denied visas because part of the interview process involves proving how much you've earned over the past 12 months. Now, a touring crew member in the last 12 months is particularly going to be struggling to kind of prove their income. So the whole thing is a shambles. And he was talking about just how ridiculous that was yesterday. They're a big enough band to be able to, overcome those because the fees are so high, because they're well known and they get big slots. At the kind of mid-level and smaller level touring bands that want to access European festivals and gigs, all of that bureaucracy and those hurdles just completely ruin the kind of the cost calculations that they make and just completely put you off. But anyway, yeah, that's my story from Kev, my friend yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different, and so the visas, and that is, and the other thing on this side is from U.S. citizens that would normally fly over to the UK as the landing point and the hop off point, and then go around Europe. And is this going to affect? And they would tour with bands, and that was the other thing. They would pick up with a local act in London or something, and then they would just go hop around the European Union.
Yeah, well, maybe you could have a word with Uncle Joe and see if he can see if he can set something up, and we'll just jump on those coattails.
I just pinged him into the room. One other thing that I noticed in this article was, some of the regular updates from the EU nations to resolve problems is they're also calling for a resolution to so-called cabotage rates, which impose restrictions on UK haulers over the number of stops they can make in the EU. They can only make one initial stop with just two further stops before they must return to the UK, making touring impractical and unviable for many. I mean, seriously.
You have to cross-load everything in Calais. As soon as you get across, you have to cross-load. So the expense is renting everything twice and sending the UK haulage and tour bus home.
It's like sending it, and what can you send ahead of time? And maybe they're forcing also they're looking to like, hey, no, if you want to come in, you're out of the union. You have to rent from us. Give us your money. Well, with that being said, let's stay on that area, and we're going to talk about the Irish concert business receives 25 million euros for summer funding. Successful applicants for live performance support scheme funding include Aiken Promotions, Pod Festivals, and Festival Republic. The government of the Republic of Ireland has announced recipients of its 25 million euros to assist commercial venues, producers, and promoters to plan live performances across the country over the summer months, with a total of 237 organizations benefiting from the scheme. The Live Performance Support Scheme, LPSS, is part of a 50 million euro suite of measures to support the live entertainment sector and follows exceptional demand for a 5 million euro pilot scheme in 2020. The scheme aims to support live performances, particularly where capacity for live attendance is restricted due to COVID-19 and where funding will make live performances viable or alternatively make them available online if audiences cannot attend due to restrictions. Among the companies to benefit from the LPSS include Festival Republic, which has been awarded 423,000 euros for live shows in Strasbourg Hall, home to its festival Electric Picnic, and a few others it goes through. Over 400 companies and businesses applied for the scheme. A Word document of all successful applications is available through a link on this article, and you can find this article at musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes. The Irish Culture Minister, Catherine Martin, says, I am very pleased to announce this funding, which will encompass and support a wide range of performances over the coming summer months. I know this funding will assist in the employment of performers, artists, technicians, creative and performance staff across the sector, bringing much needed employment to many who have not had work for many, many months. Take that, UK. Ireland's getting their act together with supporting the live music sector.
Yeah, we'll hopefully see how well they do, and then we'll piggyback on their plans. Watch this space, like I said. We'll see what we can do.
And while we're talking about getting back to the road, and the interesting about you're only allowed to make certain stops, there's a great article in Billboard, and I'm going to highlight some of the sections here. It's the challenges and thrills of returning hundreds of tour buses to road duty. These are the type of things that not many people think about unless they are on the tour, that everything that goes into making these tours happen. And we talked about in the past, riggers that haven't been up in a while. They're out of practice, we can say. We're talking about performers, people that have been for 18 months almost, have not been working on their normal jobs. And it takes a while to get back up to speed, but there's a lot more to this. I mean, there was a porta potty shortage. So the supply and demand, and like festivals that require, numerous porta potties. These are all issues. And car rentals, it's been a challenge because some of these like Hertz had to sell off certain their fleet. So this one is talking about tour bus outfitters and drivers just can't wait to get on the road again. It's in your blood. So there's a talk about every month since March 2020, Jamie Streetman and his colleagues at Coach Quarters in Nashville have fired up one of their 20 tricked out tour buses used to transport stars like Jay-Z and Jack Johnson and taken in for a ride around town. They put her along the Briley Parkway Loop, stopping for a bite at West Nashville Barbecue, joint the Ridge, returning after 40 miles. That's the life. And anything to stretch their legs, he says. They're better when they operate. We try to send a different one each time to get them moving. But after 50 months of inactivity throughout the pandemic, hundreds of tour buses are suddenly being pressed back into action as touring bands return to the American highways. So they start off like the Foo Fighters, everything. They are like workhorses. Doug Oliver, general manager, Pioneer Coach in Nashville, who some 50 buses have transported many amazing artists. So they want to be running. We don't like that set there for long periods of time. Financially, those who run tour bus companies view the upcoming concert schedule with relief. Hemphill Brothers lost $30 million in revenue from March through December 2020 and had to downsize a little bit. And the CEO said, who owns the company, said Coach Quarters had to take out a small PPP loan. to afford the $7,000 to $8,000 it owes on each of its buses. Like artists, roadies, lighting, and sound companies and rehearsal studios, bus companies have teetered on financial ruin. But Hemphill estimates 50% or more of its 100 bus fleet will be on the road in July, then 90% in September or October. Mechanically, the coach companies are scrambling to meet the sudden demand for buses packed with leather couches, high-end audio systems, and full-length mirrors. He said, we can change the oil, check wheel seals and pressure, do everything possible before they leave, but until they get moving and the joints worked out, it'll be interesting for sure. One of the key things is taking the belts off and spinning the pulleys. Some of the things you take for granted really need to have a close look. So it goes on a little, in more detail, but it's really interesting how they talk about like the things that go into it and all the operations, every single moving part. And, they have some of the coaches, like Pioneer Coach, spent the last 15 months replacing rusted pipes and rotted hoses and winterizing the batteries. So they can they had to keep these going because it's not like, hey, we haven't fired up the car in the garage. Let's just go and do a thousands of mile tour around the U.S. Elliot? I saw you raise your hand. I know you got something to say. Jump
Yeah,
on in.
On that same note, I personally, in my limited scope, I personally know of a lighting company, a sound company, and a backline company that, smartly gave up their shops during the pandemic and, got out of their truck leases and put everything in more warehouse type storage. And I've been in communication with some of them, and they're trying to find the right moment and the right spaces to get back into more workable spaces and get back their truck fleets and stuff like that. So again, there's all these unseen portions of the industry that people think you can just flip a switch and get back to business, but there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I mean, so many moving parts. And the other challenge that comes across is, some of these companies might have lost some employees, crew, experienced crew, and technicians that they have to replace. While everybody, it's not. I mean, once you get into the groove, it's a well-oiled machine in that sense. I mean, you're always going to come across challenges with everything, but to be able to rely on the people that's been with you for years to say, hey, I got this, you don't have to worry about it. These are where mistakes can happen. This is where rigging issues can happen. And, safety is a priority, and having experienced people that know what they're doing and that have experience is very important.
Yeah, it's important to mention, Peter, too. 2 points actually that came to mind when we were talking about this. Like you just said, a lot of these folks, I know a few myself who have gotten jobs where they can utilize their skills that are a bit more consistent with the schedules they'd hope to keep, like a 9 to 5 or a day job, if you will. But they can still use their skills, and some of them are considering not going back out on tour for that very reason. So they're, like you say, there's less skilled workers out there who are still available because it's been so long. And on the other side of it, when you were talking about, we call them portaloos over here, but the porta potties, that sort of thing, that made the news over here as well in the touring community because with so many people unable to go on holiday from the UK to a lot of the various countries, which would normally be a quick access, a short flight. A lot of people are doing staycations and staying in the UK and going to places more remote for camping. So what they're finding are that the porta potties that they do have in inventory are being then shipped out to campsites for use for campers, and these companies are making money just renting them out all summer with them staying put as opposed to moving them around the way they would do in a tour situation or festival situation.
The staycation is a buzzword right now with some of these. I just saw something that's out on Long Island, New York, that this I think it's like a bar, restaurant, or something. It is also like a hotel or some kind of a arrangement, but they're building out these cabanas to rent, and they're going to have more entertainment, and they just want to rent, and they're promoting it as staycation. Like, don't go out, just come here and enjoy a vacation. We're going to make it feel more vacation-like for you.
It's remarkable. I wonder if it'll create the little cottage industry that stays even beyond once we sort of escape the immediate COVID restrictions that are in place.
Yeah.
It's not a bad name for a restaurant or a band even, staycation.
Ooh. I'm sure if we went to Spotify search, we'll probably find 7 staycation bands. And with that, let's going to move on to Event Wallet. And I also want to say hi to everybody in our live stream. How you doing? And Metal Flack, what's the good word, Jamie? Good to see you. All right, Event Wallet. This is what they're calling the solution to open up festivals, sport, travel, and events across the UK and the world. And the bullet points read, Damn Health and Health Passport Worldwide create Event Wallet. And as the UK's festival remains silent, the special technology has been now launched to help them open up again. The Event Wallet within Health Passport Worldwide already integrates with major ticketing systems, stadiums, and events. The platform is also being used for travel and sports to help reignite these essential economies which have been crushed by the pandemic. Event Wallet is the ready-to-go solution to the ongoing crisis across the UK and beyond. So, they talk about, as part of, say, this weekend, there's Download Festival with 10,000 people converging on a weekend as part of the government's event research program. All attendees must be tested before and after the festival as a condition of entry. Testing will continue to be an essential part of living with COVID whilst the pandemic persists, enabling people to enjoy things again they love. So what they're saying is this leading COVID testing company, Dam Health and Technology Group, Health Pass or Worldwide, are now providing a solution. And they say, what they can do is, whenever needed, it could automatically integrate with the major ticketing systems, quickly enable full capacity once again. Entry is via normal ticket scan, and there's no need to scan test results or vaccinations. And of course, they're focused on data privacy being paramount. So what they're saying is, that last year it's like they're saying that everyone was tested before the event, and then after all the safety is scanned in, and they were testing this out. So it's like people can be tested at a location of their choice before and after event in the same way that other ERP events across the UK. So it's really interesting. They're saying like you basically can use this to enter the country. So it's even for international. They're saying you'll be able to use this for entry into the country. Then you can go to the festival, you can check in, post out, you can go to other venues, restaurants, whatever needed, and then exit, all within the same wallet. Now, people have been a little up in arms about data and privacy, and especially in the U.S., a lot of people were saying they won't want to have any kind of COVID pass. Any thoughts on this? Anybody have some strong opinions about, to have your information locked into a wallet that you carry around and you have to prove it?
I can tell you we have an NHS app over here that already acts as a sort of certificate storing device for you, or certificate storing location for you already on your device. And a lot of people, because they already trust having their information housed within the NHS, they're willing to use it and sort of whip that out as a proof of, here, I've been double vaxxed, or I have my certificate. And I believe you can turn the settings off or on based on whether or not you want to have your real-time data updated. So if you want to be alerted of various things, but you can just use it to store your certificate. So I think if it's the right company with the right brand name or the right organization that's putting their stamp on it and saying they vetted and approved it, it could work, but it would need to be something pretty ubiquitous and pretty trustworthy.
Just seems like a international version of what New York is doing with the Excelsior Pass, and regretfully, it's like dealing with 50 different countries. Each state, on political lines, is not allowing the cross-pollination of apps like that, which might become a problem in metro areas like New York, where we have patrons that come from, regular patrons that come from New Jersey and Connecticut and areas nearby.
Yeah, we have Jamie in the live stream chat, and she just went, "Yep," and she was just mentioning the New York State wallet, and it's in the App Store. You can find it in the App Store. It's the Excelsior Pass. Is that what it's called?
Yes, and you go on the state website and plug in. They ask you some question, because the state has a record of your vaccination status, so you can plug in some information that theoretically only you should know, where and when you got vaccinated. and it creates a QR code, and there is a free app available to the venues, which they, on a voluntary basis, can use to grant you access to, vaccination-only events. But it's only open to New York State residents. If they were able to open that up to, other governing bodies, it might make it easier for a lot of people. But a lot of the thinking I'm hearing is that within the next couple of months, those vaccination requirements, at least in New York, will be voluntary on the venue basis and won't be mandated by the government.
Yeah, I mean, LA officially fully opened up, and I think New York is pretty much going to be 100% open.
It's going to be business and venue specific on a voluntary basis.
Okay.
The only place currently in New York that you're still required to even mask is on mass transit, because that's still a federal CDC recommendation.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you for that. Great update. Thanks. All right, we're going to move over to some music and tech. So, indie artists, and this is in music business worldwide. And you can go to musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes to get all the headlines. You can also, while you're there at musicindustrycity.com, there's another cool thing. You can see the live stream. If we're live streaming, right from that homepage there, you'll say live streams go here. And if it's gray, that means we're not live streaming. But if you see an image, that means we're live streaming. So you can check that out and see what's going on behind the scenes, as well as you can register for free to unlock exclusive content. It's free if you want to check it out, and the homepage changes over, and we're going to be doing a lot of other events, and we do live streaming stuff in VR, a whole bunch of, we're going to be doing in-person events soon. So, if you join the community, we're rolling out a back-end community, so it's going to be a great place to even have more discussions, such as what we're doing here on Clubhouse. Like, while we're having a Clubhouse talk, you can be in the community chatting or join us in the live stream. All right, indie artists can now get their music on Facebook and Instagram via TuneCore and DistroKid. Facebook has launched its Independent Artist Program, a function that allows artists and creators to distribute their music across Facebook and Instagram products such as Stories, Reels, and anywhere Facebook offers a music library. Facebook has partnered with two third-party music distribution companies, DistroKid and TuneCore, for the program, which Facebook says, quote, will help artists get their music on Facebook and Instagram quickly, seamlessly, and at no cost to the artist. After uploading music to TuneCore and DistroKid, artists will have their music shared with Facebook and Instagram and used to create content on its products. This includes music stickers and lyrics on Facebook and Instagram stories, which enable people to add soundtrack to the stories they share. On Reels, meanwhile, music and audio is a cornerstone feature to Instagram's TikTok rival, which is currently available in 50 global markets. Crucially, artists will also be paid when their music is used by Facebook platforms, but this is based on the terms of the chosen distributor. TuneCore confirmed in a press release today that its artists would, quote, get paid every time their music is used to create content across Facebook and Instagram products. Facebook says that partnering with DistroKid and TuneCore will further, quote, enable people to connect and express themselves with music. And it goes on a little bit deeper. This is, with a lot of quotes, good marketing quotes. But this, I like this. And TuneCore and DistroKid, I've always kind of been ahead of the curve when it comes to getting onto new platforms. I know DistroKid, when they made their deal with TikTok, and also DistroKid allows you to whitelist. So for your friends on Twitch, and you want to let your music be used in gaming and on Twitch without DMCA takedown notices. So a lot of great technology and opportunities there. But Oculus just raised $6.5 million. Now it wants more artists to sell those three letters, NFTs, through its platform. The Oculus platform devised and launched by the founders of DIY music service Ditto has caused ripples through the music business since it arrived earlier this year. Blockchain-powered financial platform for artists, in April, Oculus, then operating as Blue Box, hosted the first ever split music copyright sale by artists via NFTs. British rapper Big Sue and U.S. artist Taylor Bennett each successfully sold a collection of 1% stakes of unreleased recordings via the blockchain. All 125 of these items sold out in under 30 seconds, with over 10,000 people trying to get into the sale. Buyers of these 1% stakes acquired a worldwide exclusive fractional license to these sound recordings with ownership in perpetuity. Now, having completed a successful multi-million-dollar financing round to fund the next stage of its growth, Oculus is welcoming a wider range of artists onto its platform to host similar split copyright NFT sales. What Parson is describing here is, in essence, a future of dedicated global fan bases operating with a shared determination to fuel their favorite artist's success. The determination, though, will come not just from fans loving the act in question, but also because they're directly invested in their prosperity. Thanks to a recent partnership with Binance, artists can also now sell non-copyright NFTs via opulence, including VIP fan experiences, giving fans a chance to spend big on scarce items for their favorite artists. All right, it goes on deeper, and there's a lot more information about how this platform works. And of course, they are touting NFTs. My question is like what they're getting. If there's a song, is it just the song as the NFT that they're getting a percentage of, or are they getting an actual percentage of all revenue based on that song? And how is that calculated? And who's doing all the accounting for that? And who's paying out?
Well, it says, I just sort of re-glancing over it just to make sure that I hadn't missed it. The part that stuck out to me was where it said buyers of these 1% stakes acquired a worldwide exclusive fractional license to the sound recording with ownership in perpetuity. So it does sound like that they will get to own 1% stake in the recording itself, a bit of the licensing, if you will, but with ownership of the NFT in perpetuity. So that does mean for the length of all time. So I have no other way to say that. Sorry, but it does sound like it could be. It seems like it's more of an investment product than necessarily an art piece, or the way we sort of think of NFTs now. It seems like this is more kind of a way to buy into the back end of a music release, almost as if you're kind of crowdsourcing it through a label that's allowing you to own a portion of what they're selling. I don't know. It seems a bit like it needs to be fleshed out a bit more, but it sounds interesting.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of uses for NFTs over time, and I'm really excited about it. And when NFTs really start, like people start digging in, it's like, hey, we're going to be able to do all of this, instead of just saying, here, you can own a piece of digital artwork. I think there's so much more that can be done on the blockchain, and we're starting to see it now. So this is great. And with that, we have just two more articles left. This one is going to be, no, actually, we don't have two more articles left. We have one article left. We have the Spotify spot. So let's do this. Green dot. It's the spot. All right, this is from Music Business Worldwide. Loss-making Spotify commits to paying out yet more money to a new type of creator. Spotify's annual accounts show that 2020 wasn't an easy ride for Daniel Ek's company. In fact, it posted $335 million annual operating loss for the year. Such figures inevitably raise questions about Spotify's business model and the amount of money it's paying out to rights holders and creators, example, the music artists and podcasters on its platform. This week, Spotify has officially welcomed a new type of content creator onto its service and committed to paying out an additional stack of money to help them across 2021. Those creators are celebrities, politicians, and aspirational keynote speakers who will potentially appear on Spotify Green Room, the streaming platform's rival to Clubhouse, the live conversational audio platform that launched this year. Hey, does everybody know what Clubhouse is? Anyway, Spotify Green Room is now available on iOS and Android in over 135 markets around the world. Green Room users also don't need a Spotify account to download and access the app either. On Spotify Green Room, users can host or participate in live rooms where audiences can log in and join conversations, similar to what's going on in Clubhouse here. But what they did is in April, Clubhouse announced Payments, a service that allows users to donate creators directly with 100% of earnings going directly into their pockets. So this is, some say that Green Room differs from Clubhouse in name only, but the two are odds at how they fund them. That's why, Spotify, meanwhile, is paying creators from its own pocket via the newly announced Spotify Green Room Creator Fund. So Spotify hasn't put a solid figure on the amount it intends to pay these creators, but it says there are three main facets to the fund. Payments are primarily determined on the consumption of live content and how many people tune into a creator's room. Distributions are calculated weekly. This, says Spotify, is to recognize creators developing their audiences and will dynamically reflect growth. Spotify says it's designing the fund to pay a large base of creators with payments that can make an impact on their careers. Fund is open for registrations now. Will go live and begin payouts later this summer. So Spotify says it's building Green Room with the creators and artists in mind who make Spotify great, but no creator announcements or specific events have been announced. Right. Who got to play with Green Room yesterday? Anybody?
Oh, I did. And I have mixed feelings about it because there are some elements of it that I think are cool features, but it does feel very much like the Wild West for the moment, and it does seem as though it's going to take quite a bit of research by anybody who's coming from here or starting from scratch to figure out how to sort of have a similar or better experience. But one thing I will say is that feels a little bit chaotic is that there isn't a sort of slow rollout the way it was here, where you got one group of people to sort of come along, learn it, populate it, and then be able to sort of teach the others. That seems to be happening on Green Room now, but it's hard to know who to believe because that seems to only be a handful left over from Locker Room that have a sort of distaste for new people turning in. I found. I don't know if I'm the only one that's found that, but I felt very much like an outsider that's suddenly just stumbled upon their club and that they don't want us there. And then also people who've come from Clubhouse that are sort of spending day and night trying to figure it out because I assume they want to apply for these creatorship opportunities or build audiences there. It feels very Wild West, and I would have liked it so much more if it was rolled out, when your last name begins with A through K, you guys come in now, and then tomorrow the people from L to P can come in, and so on and so forth, or however they'd organize it. But it just feels very much like an exodus.
So yeah, one thing, and I sent you one of the rooms yesterday, and my first impression was I don't know what I was walking into, and like you said, Wild West. And it reminds me of Clubhouse a little bit back in December, January, February, when you would just go into a large room and everybody was unmuted. And at first, I was taken aback because I'm used to a little more Clubhouse or the rooms at least we regular here and the conversations. And it was, but after a while I listened to it and it was organized chaos. It wasn't like the Clubhouse yelling and screaming over each other. It was people kind of like you had a party and everybody's like yelling across the room at each other. Oh, no, yeah, wait, wait, hold on a second, wait, da, da. And they all had this organized chaos. And what I found out by sticking around and listening to other people talk, they're saying that that's kind of the locker room community. And I ended up going into a small room and I got invited up to the stage. And that was actually made a host after a half hour. And then I spent 2.5 hours on it that I wasn't planning on because I was now the host of a room. So within a half hour, I was my first hosting duties. But what I found is the people at Locker Room were very like open, like just kind of chilling out. And they would talk and jump in, not rude, not stepping over. But all the people that were coming over from Clubhouse were doing and I'm done speaking and would mute themselves. So it's like you had these two different cultures showing up in the playground to see how it all shakes out. And there's different ways I think it's just going to be used. For our morning room, so the music Good Day Music World room that we do here at 11 a.m. I really like Clubhouse for it. I really like Clubhouse for it. I'm like, I don't think I would ever move that from Clubhouse. Maybe something like the Music News might be better off on a different platform. Maybe it's more geared towards that platform. We're looking at these types of platforms of Twitter, Spaces, what's happening with Facebook. We're looking at Discord. LinkedIn will have theirs soon enough. All these different platforms, it's kind of like, is it just really looking into what type of content that you're producing, but also having to go where the fans are? So now if you have different types of content, you have to, and we talked about this with creator burnout, is saying, now I have to learn another platform. I have to learn another platform. I have to keep on top of all the platform. I have to build a community there. How do you get to move one community to another?
Yeah, those are all excellent points, and plenty I heard being raised in some of the rooms. So I feel like people with more time on their hands than me are going to sort this out, and eventually I'll certainly get to it. And definitely, it sounds like you're committed to figuring it out, Peter, and we're all the debt to you for that. So anything you can give us, I think, would be very, 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 very helpful in trying to navigate it because I felt like I had absolutely no idea what I was witnessing. It was very extreme. Neil, you raised your hand. Did you have something you wanted to say about Green Room?
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Only very quickly. I did jump ship for a couple of hours earlier on today. It was funny because I did see some of the big hitters from Clubhouse that were over there. It'd be interesting to see how that pans out. I think it's going to be useful for musicians, particularly once they get away from the sports locker room side of things. Obviously, being able to linked to YouTube and their Spotify accounts. Whether or not it's a flash in the pan, I can certainly see that it's in some form or another is certainly going to be a threat, certainly in the early days to Clubhouse. But as Peter was saying, there was a lot of chat about leaving the mayhem and the wild west of Clubhouse. But from a personal point of view, I've not found that. I think like attracts like, as it does in this room, when people are courteous and they do take turns, they don't all speak at once. That's exactly what you've created here. And they seem to be very grateful for the fact that they were going over to a degree of calm. But I don't know. I've found that on this app and wouldn't feel the need particularly to go over there, but I can see value in it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, it's like, well, is crazy crazy? It doesn't matter what the app is. Is calm calm? It doesn't matter what the app is. I mean, if I go over there and I want to take this program over there, my program's probably going to run pretty much the same kind of vibe, I guess. It'll change a little bit, but it's also about the moderators. I mean, there's plenty of chaos in Clubhouse and the Wild West, but there's also really great open format discussions, as Neil is pointing out, that you can have. It's like, okay, a respectful conversation. But does changing the platform change that? Not necessarily. But what Neil was saying about the artists, I think actually artists are going to really benefit over on Spotify if they were to be in green room, because I foresee, and well, actually, I just want to point out three quick things I noted, and I know we have about 3 minutes left before we wrap the power hour. One is I liked that you can change the title of the room. Therefore, if I was to, because I do back-to-back rooms here, I wouldn't have to log out of a room and log back into and start the Music News Power Hour. I can just change the title. There is a side chat functionality in there. I don't know if it's distracting or not yet. Haven't looked at it, but it is interesting. Like, people in the audience could chat, so I think that might be good for them. I like those. I like those two features. You can only have one host at a time right now, so you can't have moderators, it seems like. So you're on your own. So you are fully moderating the entire room. So you got to be a little extra cautious about who you bring up, so you can avoid trolls, things like, and being able to kick people out when necessary. The thing I do think is, for an artist side, is that Spotify is going to have an easier time making sure, or if they already, unless they already, if they don't already have it, all the licensing in place, musicians will be able to have like a room and eventually maybe tie it into their Spotify account. I look at it as like, hey, I'm going to have a drop. I'm going to drop a new song at midnight. Come and hang out in my green room. And here's a link. All right, everybody, click the link I put in the chat and then go to my Spotify account. Go listen to my song and come back here, and I'm going to tell you all about it. How effing awesome would that be for a musician to be able to pre it, to say, go up and be like, go click on that link. They launch Spotify. They come, and I'm going to stay here. You go listen. I'll wait 5 minutes while you all go listen to my song. I'm sure there's going to be other implementations, but think about that. That would be so awesome. Can you do that on Clubhouse? No, because you don't have hot links. Kevin.
Peter, you could probably even stream it right from there because the audio quality is so much better. Like, the audio quality there is amazing compared to the audio quality here.
Kevin, good to see you again, Kevin. So when I was hosted the room, when I was made host of the room last night, I was looking down the audience and I couldn't, like, some people didn't have a similar profile picture. I was like, wait, Kevin's here, and I had to bring you on up, and I brought a few other people up, like Jen from Clubhouse, the CH Event Pros, and so we had a few people in there. Kevin, great to see you again. That was a lot of fun. I'm gonna put 2 minutes of overtime on this room. Because we have 1 minute before we're supposed to close, but I'll go 2 minutes over because I also have a meeting. So, Kevin, what were your initial thoughts?
I love that application. I just think that there's a lot more potential for certain utility on it, especially if, like, you want to start a podcast or you already have a podcast. it's kind of already set up to where that can work there. But then I also think that, like, especially in our industry, like in music, if it's integrated correctly, it could serve as a really great, like, verification, like vetting tool. Because if you're a songwriter or a producer, you're going to have production credits or songwriting credits on artist songs that are on Spotify, and you're already listed on that stuff. So if they can find a way to tie that together, it's going to cut a lot of stuff out. Like, where you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm hearing from somebody who actually did this. I don't have to, like, jump off this application, try to Google search them, try to, like, vet the information. Half of it's already going to be right there in Spotify if they connect it that way, and that would be great for this industry.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's a lot of great opportunities. The fact that you can hot link in the chat, you can drop like your profiles, like the fact that things are linkable and there is like chat as a sidebar. I mean, as the host or one of the speakers, I don't have to necessarily monitor the chat. Let the people talk to each other. So that's more community engagement. Like right now, I want to pull the room.
The first half of this room, I was in a greenhouse room chat. Like, you know, like I was able to participate in that room without even having the volume on. Mm-hmm. I was just in the room without the volume, paying attention to the room here, but then just in the conversation in there. And most of the conversation is happening between people who aren't even on the stage.
Yep. Exactly.
It does. I don't know if you guys have any experience with Discord, but Discord has a lot of this same functionality that you can have an audio conversation and a chat side by side. So I feel like there is some capability out there, and there is some already sort of existing models for how this could be used. But Kevin, the 2 points that you and Peter have brought up here about being able to hot link somebody to be able to stream right to Spotify if they're having a listening party, that makes it incredibly valuable for the music business. And Kevin's point about vetting and being able to link back directly to make sure you have the right artist that you're listening to on Spotify, as opposed to somebody with a similar name, or not knowing, you know, if you're actually speaking to the person that they say they are. The one thing, though, that I did find that I think they might need to update or change is the ability to make clubs and the search functionality, because as has been mentioned in other rooms I've been in today on Clubhouse, people are unable to search for things like titles, like business titles or specific topics, or you know, industry things. So that might be something I'd like to see them do in future. Early days.
Yeah, I'd like to see Clubhouse search functionality work a little bit better too. Oops, I didn't mean to boo that. I actually went to hit the other button.
Savage burn.
Oh, I really didn't mean to do that. I mean, perfect timing. I just happened to have my Stream Deck, the wrong one up, the wrong folder up. So, because I was just closing out, because we got to roll. We got to close out the room. Hey, let's, why don't we plan on talking about this more tomorrow in the Week in Review in the Music News Power Hour. So we'll do some headlines, and let's have like more of an open discussion. Let's talk about opportunities for musicians as well, and these different types of platforms. So everybody feel free to come back tomorrow. And also our Good Day Music World at 11 a.m. Eastern is artist shout out. So bring an artist to shout out and we'll add it to our playlist. And you can find all that at musicindustrycity.com. Click on the show notes. There's the playlist. Or if you are registered at Music Industry City, you can go to the Music Hall. You can see Martina's Pick of the Week, our monthly playlist, each updated every week in that shout out room. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Angela, Adam, Neil, and Kevin for your great contributions. And we are out of here.
Cheerio.